Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 199, and today's date is October 26, 2013, and this is the current economic collapse news brief for this Saturday. And let's get right into the economic collapse news. The IMF right now is looking to confiscate everyone's wealth, and what they're saying is the countries, the debt level has reached a point where there is no way out. The rich cannot sustain what is going on right now, and what they need to do is steal the money from every single person to keep the system going. And what they're saying is that they will go ahead and create some type of percentage. Right now they're saying 10%. Believe me, it is going to be more, because we have to. Let's just take a look back at Cyprus for 1 second. When the people went to sleep on Friday night and they woke up Saturday, they realized their bank accounts were frozen and the banks were closed. And it came out that they were going to take only around 8 to 10% of their money out of their savings accounts. And they put capital controls on everyone's account. And basically what happened was time went by. They said it would only be 2 weeks or so, and more time went by, and right now they're still under capital controls. They're going to relieve them in 2014. So it'll be about a full year that people have their money frozen in the accounts. Eventually they came out and they said, we are going to take 47% of your money, but don't worry, everyone calm down. We're going to replace your money with worthless bank stock, and we'll put that into your account. Now, these are the banks that were in trouble, that were insolvent, that were collapsing, and they were giving you worthless bank stock. So they started out with 8 to 10%, and it went all the way up to 47%. Now IMF is saying that the rich people do not bring in enough revenue to keep this system going. So what they need to do, and right now they're kicking around 10%, we will take 10% from your savings. And what they really went on to say here is that it means that all households with a positive net wealth, everyone with retirement savings or home equity or a savings account, would have their assets plundered under this plan. And you can tell that this will happen, because what happened after we saw what happened to Cyprus, everyone started to look, and we found documents. One of them was the FDIC Bank of England document, which you can find on the internet, or you can go to the x22report.com site. I have it under resources, go down to documents, and I keep the documents there. And this document lays out the plan to do bail-ins, because bailouts are not allowed under the Frank-Dodd law. And other countries took this FDIC Bank of England document, like Switzerland, the Eurozone. Canada is implementing their own, and they are creating documents that spell out how the bail-ins are going to work. And we have to remember, this FDIC Bank of England document was created in December 2012. The Cyprus event happened, I think that was February or March of 2013. So it was already laid out. That was a test. Now we understand, when we look around and we see all these countries that are so far into debt, Greece looking for a third bailout, and we're looking at France, we're looking at Portugal, we're looking at Italy, we're looking at Spain, we're looking at the U.S. Debt is growing like it's going out of, like it's running water and you can't stop it. It's just continually going up and up and up and up, and they realize there is no way to stop this, and the only way to keep the system going is to take the money from the people. But guess what happens when you do that? People go broke. You take their savings. They don't have the money. People start losing jobs. We saw it in Greece. We're seeing it in Spain, in Italy. Just to keep the system going, it doesn't work. There is just too much debt. Okay, now We understand that the NSA has been spying on everyone in the U.S. and everyone around the world. And I know Dianne Feinstein's out there saying, "No, we're not spying. We're just collecting phone numbers, locations, and the time that you spend on the phone." But again, we spent billions of dollars to create this system where they can do the same thing the phone company's doing right now. Because I don't know about you, but when I get my phone bill, I can see the numbers I called, where they were placed, and who they were placed to in what area, and how long the duration was. So instead of creating this whole entire system just to do that, they could have just ordered the printouts from the phone companies. So we know for a fact this is a lie, and they are listening to every single conversation, creating social profiles, and understanding what is going on. So right now there is a Stop Watching Us rally that is happening in D.C., and they're going to present a petition which has about 570,000 signatures on it, that they want these laws, the Patriot Act, and all of this stuff to stop. And there are about 100 public advocacy groups out there, and among them are the American Civil Liberties Union and Freedom Works, and they are looking to stop the spying. Now, speaking about spying, we do understand that the U.S. has been spying on many government officials around the world. We just heard recently that Merkel has found out that the U.S. has been spying on her with her mobile phone. But again, if we go back to Dianne Feinstein, she says, no, we're just recording your number, your location, and your duration. Does it make sense? No. They're listening to her conversations, and they're listening to many, many other conversations. And we know this because what is happening right now is Germany, Brazil, and about 19 more countries are for anti-NSA UN resolution. 19 countries have formed an alliance to hammer out a UN resolution that will condemn surveillance and ensure independent oversight of electronic monitoring. And we can see that the U.S., the central bankers, have been monitoring every single government official to make sure they are doing what they're doing and to see what is going on in every one of these countries. Now, what is very interesting about this is just yesterday, the NSA website went down for some reason. First, they blamed it on a DDoS attack, and then it came out that no, this was an internal error. So, since they've been caught spying on all these countries, does it seem possible that they were covering their tracks and they needed to bring down the system to hide, erase, do other things to cover up what they have been doing? It's a huge coincidence that it happened at the same time that this is coming out. This is what's very odd to me. So to me, it seems like they're trying to cover up something. Okay. Now, we understand that Saudi Arabia, told the U.S. they're very upset with Syria, and this is a cover story because they are making deals with China because they understand that the currency is imploding, and they don't want to be left holding all this U.S. currency, all these treasury bonds, and they don't want, to collapse. But what we're seeing right now in Bahrain, they're seeing a lot of protests going on. Clashes broke out between the protesters and Saudi-backed security forces this Friday. We're also seeing this in Libya, where they're fighting against the puppet masters of the central bankers, where they want their country back. Militias in eastern Libya have seized control of key oil infrastructure, launched their own government, and created their own army in a bid to improve their bargaining position as they demand semi-autonomy from the central government in Tripoli. And we have to remember the U.S. went in there, took over the country, put the oil back on the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency, and now the people in the country are rising up and pushing the puppet regime back. And it seems like there are two governments at this time within the same country, and we are going to see a lot more happen there. And we can see around the world that the U.S. central bankers are losing control now of the Middle East. And these puppet regimes are falling, and it's only a matter of time before everything really escalates, and they need to start some type of incident to start this war, because the central bankers, U.S. government, are definitely losing ground at this time. Now, Russia is going to double the number of warplanes in Central Asia, and in the Kant Air Base of Kyrgyzstan, they will expand twofold by the end of the year. Because we have to remember, uh, Kyrgyzstan wanted the U.S. out of their air base there. Their lease was up, and they are leaving, I think, January of 2014. So what's happening now, Russia is moving in, building up their air force, and they will double the size of their air force by December. Okay. Now, we understand that Syria is dismantling their chemical weapons. We understand that the U.S. had to go along with Russia and Syria and the UN. They tried to start the war. They tried to get it started. The central bankers, they thought they had this in the bag, and now we see that this has been pushed off. But a couple of reports ago, I've been saying that they've been starting with this propaganda of Assad's biological weapons. And right now, they are continually pushing the propaganda along with Israel, saying that Syria has biological weapons. We don't know where they exactly are, and they could fall into the hands of Al Qaeda. And right now, they're worried about smallpox. Because Syria has the ability to create this, and they have the ability to put it into some type of form where they can use this biological smallpox as a weapon. And right now they are switching gears from chemical to biological, trying to go ahead and push this agenda of war. And it started out, with small little things like, Assad has chemical, but he also has biological. And now they're taking this one step forward, where they're saying Assad's biological weapon complex that poses a far greater threat than his chemical weapon complex. So we can see what is happening at this time. And they also went on to say that Assad is actually losing control of his biological weapons. And just recently in the Washington Times, their headline was "Dire Warning: Syria, the New Cauldron for Hatching Terrorist Strikes in the West Using Biological Weapons." A U.S. counterterrorism official said Syria poses a two-pronged terrorist threat to Western nations. There is a continuing concern that some of the foreigners fighting in Syria with Nusra Front and other extremist factions could leave the battlefield and mount attacks in their home countries. The official said on the condition of anonymity to discuss security issues. At the same time, we are watching for signs that Al-Qaeda affiliated groups present in Syria could shift from their focus from toppling Assad to launching external operations against the West. So at this time, they are building the propaganda for Al-Qaeda to somehow steal the weapons from Assad and shift their focus onto the West. And they are building the propaganda right now because we understand everything in the Middle East is starting to fall apart, and what they need to do is start some type of an event so they can go forward with some type of strike and bring this into war, because this is also coupled with the economy collapsing at this time and the Fed wanting and needing to increase quantitative easing and to create more and print more money. And we can see this definitely happening at this time. Now, we understand that the collapse is very, I would say, pretty close right now. I'm saying the first part of the collapse is coming by this late fall or into the winter, maybe to January at the latest, because right now they are definitely building up for a certain type of event. Now, New York is creating a gas reserve to prevent shortages. And what they're saying is they are doing this because what happened with the one storm they had. The one problem they had, they need to start creating reserves. I personally think it's for a completely different reason, but they're putting aside and they are creating a 3 million gallon fuel deposit to be ready if some type of catastrophe happens. And let me just say, Florida has hurricanes, Louisiana, New Orleans have hurricanes, all these different places have hurricanes. New York gets one storm, and all of a sudden they need to put aside 3 million gallons of fuel just in case something happens. I think it's for a completely different reason, and they are going to start doing this. And we understand that these things are going to occur. We understand that the central bankers need to get something started. We understand coming throughout this rest of the year, the economy is completely in a decline. We understand that this system cannot be maintained, and we understand the Fed, the government, many of the other nations are manipulating calculations and changing the statistical information to show what they want to show to make people believe that things are okay. But we know that things are declining, and eventually they'll decline so far that they will need an event to cover up what is coming, because the Fed and the government do not want to be blamed on what is going to happen. And just to remind everyone, if you do get a chance on National Geographic this Sunday, they're going to show a blackout scenario. I think this will be very interesting. I think we can learn a lot from this, depending how it goes. I haven't seen it, but I saw clips, and it seems like they're trying to document how people would react. And I noticed in some of the clips, the power goes out, everything is fine, people are laughing. And I was in the blackout in Manhattan when it hit in 2003. I was stuck in Manhattan. And yes, the first night people were very friendly. Restaurants, stores were trying to get rid of their food because most of them had generators, but they weren't gassed up. They didn't have fuel in them. They haven't tested them in a long time, and a lot of them failed. So they had to get rid of beers, ice cream, anything that kept cold they had to get rid of. So they were just giving food away in Manhattan. And even like the places with beer, they were giving you a beer for like $1 or $2. And the second night, still people were friendly. And if it went any further than that, I believe by the fourth or fifth night, people will be starting getting desperate, not understanding what's going on, and going even further into the seventh, eighth night, I think things would have really collapsed. You would have seen rioting in markets. You would have seen people hiding in their homes. And I believe this is what it's going to show, because we have to think back what Janet Napolitano and all the other officials have been saying, that they are planning on some type of an event that will bring down the power grid. And we do understand in November there is a power grid simulation. Now, will it happen at that time? No, but what we've seen in the past is a lot of these false flag events happen during drills. Now, in 2003, I do believe that was a test of them bringing down the grid, and they were able to do it, and I think they're going to go forward and do this again. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.